So here we go then, the long-awaited part 6 of the ambulance build. Apologies for the lack of a video last week. It's been really busy around here and it just got away from me. Anyway, without further ado, kicking off with adapting the Nissan Capster steering box mount to fit it into the Morris chassis. So we're turning this box round. We're using it actually in the wrong orientation and running it in reverse because the linkage is acting on the front of the hub, not the back. So everything will steer correctly, but it just gets the alignment of where the steering wheel needs to be to the seat, and also keeps the steering arms nice and parallel and level so we don't get bump steer and all of that. So once we've got the plate sort of welded up, we've tacked it in on the chassis so we could just check all of the alignment and get everything in the right place. That then gave us the height for the steering column. So here we are putting in the box. It's mighty heavy. So this is a steering box, but it is power steering. This is off the Nissan. So one of the great things about the Nissan Capster is it has an incredibly good turning circle and lots of range on the steering. So I wanted to keep all of that steering setup. So there we go. As you can see, there it is. There's the idler, so the arms at the back. So the next thing to do was to make a steering arm to go from left to right, and I used a track rod off another Nissan Capster, but it needed shortening. So what I decided to do was basically make a pin to go inside the tube where it was getting joined, and then bevel the edge so we could get lots of weld in there, and then plug weld that pin into both of the tubes to make it nice and strong so it's not going to go anywhere. So there we go. So got it all set up, got it parallel, got it on some blocks, tacked it together, checked that everything was true, and then welded it up, and then plug welded, as I say, the pin in. So there's lots of support all around the join, so it should be nice and strong and not crack. So both of the tapers are at 90 degrees to each other, because one's going horizontally into the box and one's going vertically into the drag link arm, which is our steering arm. So made sure that they were all set up carefully whilst it was being tacked, then blasted it together with a load of weld, making sure everything was nicely knitted together. So there we go, testing out some mole grips, checking that everything is going the right way and we've got the full range of travel on it. There's the arm that we modified before, there's our join there, and that's our steering arm there, and if you just look up there, that's where the steering wheel will be. So that puts the steering wheel as far forward as possible. Then I decided to go and get the Nissan steering column and start positioning that. Now this is pretty much where it was in the Morris. As you can see there, the UJ is over to the left. That is a bit of a compromise, but there has to be some compromises here. And of course I am going to change the steering wheel at some point from this plastic one. But yeah, just making sure there's room for the pedals. You can get in and out of it nicely. It will steer. There's room for the seat, because obviously this is the next thing. Looking at the floor height, there's quite a lot here. Everything else on the Nissan running gear is fly-by-wire or hydraulic. So pretty much this is the only control that has a mechanical linkage. So it's worth taking some time getting it right. With that done, it's time to start mocking up the seats. So I'm using some Jaguar Sovereign seats that I got some years ago. So they're all electric and they're heated. They're really comfortable. I use one as an office chair. So using some blocks of wood and things, we started lifting it up to get the right height. So you can get in and out pretty easily. It's comfortable, good position with the steering wheel and a good position with the floor. Obviously there is adjustment with the electric, and I'll have that all hooked up to switch gear so that you can move it all electrically. And the biggest issue here really with the seats was making sure that you weren't having to crane your neck down to look out of the windscreen, because the windscreen is quite low on these old vans. So here we are, this is a bit of 30x30 box, just making up some goalpost frames or whatever you want to call it, rugby frames sort of idea, and they come up and I'll go over the engine and the seats will sit on top. And then what I'll probably do is put some hinges on the back and some catches on the front, so if you ever need to access the engine, you undo the catches, the seats tip back into the back of the van and gives you access to all of the engine. With this sort of thing, you know, you can do lots of drawings and things, but sometimes you just have to sort of start and just sort of work it out as you go. Particularly as everything is going on in the cab with this thing: the engine, the steering, the axle, the seats, the windscreen. There's a lot coming together all in one place. So they're pretty heavy, these seats. They've got loads of motors on them and things, but they are incredibly comfortable. It probably would have been easier to fit some more sort of simple seats, but as I say, the idea of this, if you're going to build your own vehicle, you might as well have what you want, and yeah, this is what I want at the moment. That might change. So there we go, that's it placed on the frame, and then went around. So the idea is that you can step on the step and there'll be a small step to the left, then you can swing around into the seating position. That piece of angle there, that's the floor height. That marries up with the fiberglass at the side. The original floor was ply. I will be replacing it with ply. So yeah, it was good to make